I'm going to walk you through how you can use the no-code report designer to make your own custom reports in Assetas. You'll navigate to it by going to Reports and then Design. And we're going to create a report together. It'll be a table report of engines with their horsepower and their fuel type. To start off, my category is correct. It's an asset report. The type is table. Let's name it. The dashboard control name is a custom name that you set when the report appears in your dashboard. We won't have this report in a dashboard, so we'll leave it blank. I'm fine with this icon. The data source of asset is also accurate. I'm going to leave this toggle off as I don't want this report to be viewed anonymously. Let's set an external identifier. We'll add a tag of engine and then our description. And hit add. Now I'm ready to continue to build the report. This column section is where you build your columns. So let's start with our first column. It's just going to be the name of the asset, but I want it to link to the actual asset record in Assetas. So I want my column to be the asset name, and I want to add a link, and this will add a link directly to the asset record. You also have a spot here to rename your column. You can also add conditional styling. We don't need that here. Let's hit add. Our next column is going to be the horsepower. So I'm going to search for it directly, and it pops up right here. I know this is correct because it's an engine attribute, and that's the one that I want. Now we're going to add the fuel type. So again, we will search directly. And this comes up with 3 separate fuel types. There's one for engines, fleet vehicles, and for heaters. I want the one that's associated to the engine. Now that I have my columns, I can add my filters. And I want to filter for just engines. So we want to specify the asset type, and we want the name of the asset type to equal engines. The operator is where you can set your logic. Equals is fine. Our logical field contains the values of and or, and you'll use that when you have multiple filters. Let's hit add. I do want to sort these values, and I want to use the asset name to sort, and I want them to sort in ascending order from A to Z, so this is accurate. The security section is where you define which security roles have access to the report. I'm going to add all account administrators to this report. If you don't want anybody else to see your report, you just leave this section blank. The Validate button identifies any issues in your report. Ours passed, and we're ready to run the report. Hit the Run button to see your final report. So each of these values links directly to the asset record. I can click on any of them. I have my horsepower and fuel type. All of the columns can be clicked on to sort them. You can click on the 3 dots to change the way you sort, select which columns you want to see, and also filter your columns. You can also print the report and export it directly to Excel, PDF, or CSV. Now I'm going to walk you through how we create a chart report. So my category is accurate. We'll leave it at asset. The type is going to be chart. And we're going to create a report with 2 series. It's going to be a production report of oil and condensate production from a well. We'll leave the icon right there. And the data source this time is going to be telemetry data. We don't need any tags, and I'll just repeat the description. And we'll hit add. And instead of creating columns this time, we're going to define the chart properties. Let's edit this. My category is going to be the active date of the telemetry. And we want to group by month for this data. You also have options of grouping by minute, hour, day, and year. I want the format of the category label to be something like an abbreviated month and the full year. My series will be the telemetry type name. We don't need to format our series. And then our value is going to be the telemetry numeric value. Because we're doing a monthly chart, we want to aggregate. So we'll take the sum over the month. We don't need to round our data. These toggles right here are for our anomaly detection. And we'll start off with a line chart. I'm okay with the legend being at the bottom. So let's save this. Now we're going to add some filters. We know that we want to filter by telemetry type. So we're going to put our telemetry type filters in our first group. So we want our telemetry type dot name equal to oil volume or the other type of telemetry. We'll add that next. I'll have this one equal to condensate volume. Because we're using an OR logical in this filter grouping, we want to add a second grouping of filters that's going to have all of the other filters that we need for the report in general. So let's create a second group. And we want to set the active date to be less than or equal to today. And I'm going to use a variable here, so you never have to update anything to get the report to run. And I want to filter for my well. Now that filters are all set, I can move on to the security. And I'm going to add all of the account administrators to this security. And let's run it. So we've got a report here with 2 series. You can click on either of these to see the value. This looks great. And at any time, I don't like the way the line chart looks, I can change the type. So say I want a vertical bar chart. I'm going to load my report. And now it's a bar chart. Maybe I want to have these stacked to see the total value. I can use a vertical stacked bar chart. Thanks so much for your time. We hope these videos give you some ideas of how you can operate wisely with Assetas.